Time for Cash Tags. Welcome back to Fast Market. Alex Coffey, Kevin Hinks, and now joined by Andy Swan, the co-founder of Likefolio.com, to discuss Tesla. Andy, I suspect that we're going to hear that Tesla is somewhat lapping the field when it comes to the electric vehicle marketplace, because seemingly that's just anecdotally what I see. But good to see you alive and well after yesterday, Andy. But jokes aside, what's the data show?
The data shows that the headlines about Tesla, the headlines about Elon Musk alienating customers are completely wrong. The data shows that Tesla customers are extremely happy and that more and more people are looking into becoming Tesla customers. And we see that in the web visit data. Tesla showing a 17% growth year over year on a 30-day moving average, absolutely crushing the competition. And the other part that we see is that new visitors to Tesla's website are up 35% on a short time frame, and that tells us that the robo-taxi event was extremely popular. It brought a lot of eyeballs to Tesla, which they can then turn into customers. The Cybertruck, as weird as it is, as unconventional as it is, some people say as ugly as it is doing a good job of bringing attention back to the brand, because it used to be, I think we can all remember the first few times we saw a Tesla on the road, whether it was 5 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever it was kind of a cool new thing to see on the road, a Tesla just in general. And what the Cybertruck has done is brought that level of excitement and notoriety back to the company, so that people are talking about, again, every town has, 2 of these, 10 of these, whatever it is, you're going to see one every few days instead of every day like the normal Tesla. So they're bringing back that just wow factor that I think Elon Musk is very good at delivering. And so, everything that we're seeing, the cash flow of the company, everything that we're seeing at Likefolio is saying Tesla is doing very, very well. I would even take it out of the EV space. I think they're lapping the competition in the general automotive space, and we see that continuing for a very, very long time.
Andy, certainly Elon Musk and Tesla have had a pretty good last several weeks, despite the media's attempt to kind of, attack that relationship. But getting to the business of Tesla and their stock, the stock jumped on probably, I don't know if it's the Trump card, but it's definitely the expectations of full self-driving. We'll see less regulation coming in the future. And I can tell you that just like things that used to not be adapted in your everyday life, and so slowly but surely are, like Amazon, for instance. I live in a comfortable suburb of Chicago, and there's Teslas everywhere. And now there's Cybertrucks everywhere. And ride in an Uber, I did some traveling this past weekend to talk to Charles Schwab clients. Ride in an Uber, they're more than 50% of those cars are Teslas now. And strike up a conversation with an Uber driver about his Tesla, and it turns into a love fest on how much they love this car and how efficient it is and how a pleasure it is to drive. And the pickup, they all talk about the pickup of this car. Now, that's kind of the given, Andy, and you and I have been, and Alex and Tom White have been talking about this for a while. My question to you is a little harder. What's the next thing? What's the next thing we should be looking for that takes Tesla higher? Is it full self-driving? Is that the next hurdle for them that to get through and take to another level? What is it? Or is there something in the pipeline that we don't even know about, Andy?
Yeah, I think that the full self-driving technology, is what is the next step. That's the next technological step that gets you to the next business step, which is those Uber rides that you're taking, not having a driver anymore. And that is the big next promise, I think, for Tesla from a revenue standpoint. I think, there are models out there that you can put together where you can easily come to the conclusion that, selling the cars could become 10, 20, maybe 25% of Tesla's overall revenue base, with robo-taxis potentially taking 75 to 90% of the revenue. And what that means is not that they're selling less cars. It means that they're doing 10 times more revenue than they are today, because the cars are driving people around and getting and generating revenue for the company on each and every ride. I think that's a very realistic possibility. And when people, doubt these things, or they doubt the timelines, I would just say, go on YouTube and search and watch Elon Musk catch a rocket out of midair as it falls back to Earth, or land a rocket on a raft in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and then tell me he's not going to be able to figure out how to get a car to drive you from point A to point B for $6 with no driver. I think at some point you just have to say, this guy wins a lot, and I'm going to continue betting on the jockey that seems to win every race that he's in.
Andy, you literally took the words out of my mouth. That was going to be my question. One thing I will add to the conversation, too, about Teslas being more and more often the Uber cars that you get. Everyone remembers the first time they had an Uber that was a Tesla, because you couldn't figure out how to open the door or get out of the thing. But again, kind of jokes aside, Andy, there used to be this idea of never fading the superstar, and it was like, this guy is the definition of superstar in terms of saying something and then doing it. I mean, what was his plan that he wrote down in like 2006 or whatever it was? He's like, I'm going to build a luxury car. I'm going to take those proceeds. I'm going to build one that's slightly less expensive, take those proceeds and make an affordable car. Well, that's happened now. Tesla, the company that nobody said could ever be profitable, is more than profitable now. So, who are we to say that this guy can't figure out how to make a car drive by itself when he kind of already has?
Yeah. I ride it. I'm in a Tesla every day. I love it. I've probably sold 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 Teslas to friends just by having them ride in it and say, wow, I want one of these. It kind of sells itself. And, the full self-driving, I'll tell you, just as a user of it, has changed from, maybe 18 months ago, I would have preferred to be in the car with a new 16-year-old driver than the full self-driving. Well, today, full self-driving is good enough that I would prefer it over most adult drivers that I know. And that's an enormous step function leap that they have accomplished. I think that the biggest risk to Tesla is the risk to Elon Musk's safety and security. And I think that's an enormous risk of this company, because you can't talk about Tesla without talking about the accomplishments, vision, and execution of Elon Musk. Outside of that, Tesla has been and continues to be an infinite hold for an infinite duration with an infinite price target as far as Likefolio is concerned. And I think it's going to stay that way for a really long time, because this is a company that has a much bigger vision than any auto manufacturer has ever had, probably outside of the revolutionary ideas of Henry Ford.
I really like that point. I mean, it's a little bit dark, obviously, but this idea of this single point of failure when you do have, again, this superstar. So it's like if something happens to that particular person who's leading this company, and even if you look at a name like Apple, obviously it just happened in time, but they've never really had that same excitement around things post Steve Jobs. Now, you could argue Tim Cook has made the company very financially successful, and that's a different conversation. But the visionary side of things, no doubt, Elon brings that to the table. Andy, enjoy Thanksgiving. Thanks for joining us. Always a pleasure. Andy Swan, the co-founder of Likefolio.com.